Okay. Okay, so it's time for an update. I really couldn't do much of an update because I was so tired this past week after the 18th, hearing what that doctor said about me actually not going to live after 6 months. So it's very fair to go ahead and give an update. I don't really care about saying about the medical records because it really doesn't matter to me. But if you could see down here, this is part of my medical records here, where it says complex atypical endometrial hyperplasia. That is actually the beginning of endometrial cancer. So this was done on February 14th of this year here. So this is what they thought I had, atypical endometrial hyperplasia. And basically, it is the beginning of the cancer, but not actual cancer. The sad thing about it is that they have actually, once they did more tests, they actually confirmed it as endometrial carcinoma. Okay. And the reason is because they saw the vaginal bleeding to be abnormal. So endometrial carcinoma is actually endometrial cancer. And on me, it was a stage 3, and it would have progressed to a stage 4. Okay, so this is pretty bad. So of course, that is when I had to get a surgical procedure done. And it was basically a robotic hysterectomy, as it shows here. Okay. Yeah, my full name is showing. Okay. Well, whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, so this robotic hysterectomy here is what was done. That was done on 5/11/2018. And this is my surgeon here that performed it, Kelly E. Snyder. Okay, and as you can see here, she is with the Gynecologic Oncology Associates with Novant Health. So, when she had performed the surgery on the 11th, I thought that I was good. And I actually had no problems 5 months later. And this is just to basically run down exactly what happened before, middle to where we are now. Okay, so after the robotic hysterectomy that you see here, I was like, okay, cool, that's done, because they took everything out. They took the uterine, the cervix, the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, everything that makes the babies. They took it out. My gosh, yes. So I was like, cool. With endometrial cancer, it is a slow growing cancer, endometrial cancer. So, and it's locational. So once you remove the location that the endometrial cancer is in, which is obviously the uterus, then it reoccurring is slim to none. And if it does reoccur, it's very slow growing. Okay, it takes about 2 to 3 years for actually 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 years for you to actually see the cancer growing back. What happened 5 months down the line was basically that I was having lower back pain and left flank pain and a lot of pelvic pressure, and I had no idea where it was coming from. So what happened was, I went ahead into first of all, I was like, this could be a UTI. Because it was similar to that. You get lower abdominal pain, sometimes back pain with UTIs. So I went to urgent care, and I was like, okay, this is definitely a UTI. But when they took a sample of the urine, they actually saw that I had no UTI, but I had blood in the urine on a microscopic level. What happened at that point was the fact that I had to go into the ER for actual imagery work to see what was going on in there, especially since robotic hysterectomy, meaning I have no uterus, so I should not be bleeding. So basically that was a means for concern. So when I went in to take the imagery, what they showed was masks. And let's see. What they showed was masks on the CT scan. And let me go to that. Yes, I took a chest, abdomen, and pelvis with the IV contrast on the 10th. And then I took another one on the 17th. So what they needed to do was get a clear view of what was causing the pelvic pressure. Okay. Now, as you can see here, it shows here that there is an enlarging mass within the anterior abdominal wall, which appears to enhance, consistent with a tumor. There are two masks within the pelvis located along the sigmoid colon, and rectum. And then one of these is at the level of the vaginal cuff. And then it says here, recurrent disease is possible. And then, of course, here, it basically shows the measurements of the masks that they found here. Okay. And it says two masses within the pelvis. The level of the vaginal cuff and its high density. And is similar to the light lesion within the interior abdominal wall. And here are the measurements of the masks. Of course, whenever you get a CT scan and with a contrast in it, they're able to see the mask a lot more clearer. So of course, on the 18th, I had the visit with Dr. Kelly Snyder, who actually told me that these masks are a recurrent disease. So what I was told was that this was a quick growing cancer, and that the cancer now cannot, there's nothing that can be done because it's a quick growing cancer. And prior to this instance here, when I found these masks, right after surgery, I was being pushed to have chemotherapy and radiation done. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. One of the major reasons that I said I wasn't going to do chemotherapy is because I don't believe in preventative medicines. Really, y'all? So we signing out of this. Really? So this signed me out. Oh, thank you so much. How cute. Anywho, I do not believe in preventive medicine. So of course I said no to the chemotherapy. Okay, so let me just switch this here. So I said no to the chemotherapy. Because a lot of times the chemotherapy can be much worse than the actual disease. So let me get this back up here. As we all know, doctors do not like when you go against their orders. So what they will do is they will go ahead and they will push you to doing what they want you to do, whether it is good for you or not. So she basically, let me share my desktop again, because now I am, hold on. The doctors will push you to do what they want you to do, whether it's healthy for you or not. They have their own agenda as to what they feel that they want you to do. And if you go against it by refusing, they will find any way that they can to push you in the direction they want you to go in. So when I said before that I did not want to do any kind of chemotherapy, any kind of radiation, because what they're saying is that they pulled out the full uterus with the endometrial cancer in it, and they said they removed it and that they couldn't see anymore. They couldn't even see it on a microscopic level. So if you cannot see the cancer on a microscopic level, then why am I putting myself through chemotherapy and radiation when you can't even find it on a small microscopic level? So in effect, what I'm doing is torturing myself, and for no reason. So of course she, as a doctor, was upset to hear that I was not going to go with the chemotherapy. So she constantly tried to scare me into taking chemotherapy. It did not work. Had radiation calling my house for a good month, trying to scare me into doing that. So of course, when I started to feel these masses here, oh gosh, it's logging me out again. Thanks a lot. I'm just going to leave the desktop up here. Once I started to feel these masses, of course, she's going to want to back up what she said earlier about me needing chemotherapy and radiation. So the first thing she did when I came in on the 18th was say, well, first she lied. There were not two masses in the vaginal cuff. There was only one, and then there was one in the colon and the abdominal wall. What happened was she was like, well, this is the recurrent disease, and it's fast growing. Surgery is not going to help it, and actually no more surgery because there's nothing that we can do. And if you don't take the chemotherapy and the radiation, you will die in 6 months. What happened also was that when I still refused the chemotherapy and said, well, if I'm going to go in 6 months, I will just deal with the side effects of whatever is going on. I'm not going to put myself through that. Then she proceeded to say, well, you know what? Chemotherapy won't work for you anyway because you're heavy set, and even if we capped out, it still wouldn't be enough. So basically what they want to do is guinea pig me and see how much chemotherapy they can give me and that I can stand. This is the reason why I warn people about doctors, and that we should never go by what they say, because a lot of what they say is for their benefit and not yours. I refuse to be a guinea pig to anyone. So she tried to basically use reverse psychology and say, well, chemotherapy won't work, so that I, in effect, would ask for the chemotherapy to at least have some kind of hope of extending my life past 6 months. So when I heard this news, I was definitely upset. And what happened was I went ahead, and it has been a hell of a week for me and my family. So I cried the first day, was cloudy the next day, and then got into fight mode after that. So I've been doing a lot of research, and when you clear your mind of just feeling sorry for yourself, or hearing bad news and just be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, you start to put together pieces that weren't exactly put together the first time. Now, had I been thinking and not overwhelmed by emotions, I would have realized something. Endometrial cancer is a slow-growing cancer. Endometrial cancer does not grow within 5 months of an operation. It does not. It takes about 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 years to be detected. Yeah, it's about 2 to 3. Ma! Okay. So it takes a... Now, I just wanted to... Did she say 3 to 5 years for endometrial cancer, right? Before it's detected. And I read that too, but I have to always... oh, no, that's it, Ma. That's good. Okay. Thank you. Yes, I was just in my medical records. Is that what it is? No, we're not going to know the results until Thursday, Ma. Oh, okay. I'm just seeing more inconsistencies, that's all. 3 to 5 years for, and excuse me, I mean, hey, it's real up in here. 3 to 5 years for endometrial cancer to come back. So when I got the news on September 18th that I would be dying within 6 months of a reoccurring cancer. Now, when you take a look at it, a reoccurring cancer means the same cancer that you were suffering from. So this cancer that I was suffering from, as we saw, was endometrial cancer, a cancer that is slow growing, that actually sits dormant for 3 to 5 years. How is it that in 5 months it grew, and that I should be dying from it in 6 months? So let's see, that's 5 months plus 6 months, that's 11 months. So a month less than a year I should be dead from endometrial cancer, when I actually had this endometrial cancer in my uterus for years before I knew it was there. So something didn't add up once I started to think past the emotions. So what happened was I started to look into my records, and I started researching robotic hysterectomy. And what I found was that with the robotic hysterectomy, sometimes cernomas occur in the surgical areas that you have had extensive surgery in. And what a cernoma is a non-cancerous mass that is made of soft tissue that builds with fluids from the surgical site inside your body, not on the outside. The vaginal cuff, as well as the abdominal wall. Those are 2 places where I had the surgery. They had to cut me in those places. And what it says is that excuse me. What they said is that usually what happens is your body has to adapt to large masses of tissue or organs being removed. And sometimes it causes little mass that builds fluids. It is not detrimental, which I was told it was. So, to make a long story short, a second opinion was needed, and a biopsy, which is being done, and we will get the results on Thursday. So I'm hoping that I am correct, in my research, and that it is not the endometrial cancer returning, and if it is, I have 3 to 5 years to deal with that, not within 6 months. But this is just what I have been looking at and researching. So sometimes it is best to put aside what the doctors say, because a lot of them are wrong a lot of times, and they reap havoc on your life, your family's life, just because they want to force treatment on you that you don't need. And as it stands, on the 27th, they have an appointment for me to go into radiology and talk about chemotherapy. Not going to happen. So that's pretty much what's going on as far as the medical aspect and the updates. And I've got that biopsy. So the biopsy results should be coming in soon as to what these masks actually are. So hoping for the best, and I will keep everybody updated. But right now, I am not sure that her initial prognosis was a correct one. I'm just seeing too many inconsistencies here. But I wanted to update everybody. It's just been a hell of a week going into 2 weeks, but at least yesterday and today I can kind of breathe a little easy and relax some. So thank you guys for your concern, and much love to everybody. I love you guys. Peace.